Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic day. Here with us, we have fantastic Kara Jean Wilson, our high performance coach, Adrian Ramo, One Bite Wellness. So, ladies, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for taking some of your time and helping all of us today.
Thank you.
So, today's topic is going to be about the power of never giving up. So, which one of you would you like to share something that you have given up and now you're like, I shouldn't have given up, or something that you really fought really hard not to give up, and what are the fruits from it now? One or the other. Adrian?
I'm actually just going to answer it a little bit differently.
Sure.
So, before we got on this call, Kara and I were talking about how we wanted to become doctors, but we don't like blood draws personally or doing them to other people. So, that's what held me back partially from being a medical doctor, which is what I really wanted to do most of my life. I mean, I really wanted to help people, but I thought the only way to do that was to become a doctor, right? So, ultimately, though, it led me to helping people with food instead. So I don't have to deal with wounds. I don't have to deal with blood like draws. I can deal with blood work. And it's just it transformed the way that I help people. So I'm actually kind of glad that I'm not a doctor because it's a different paradigm than what I like. But yeah, so it was actually good in my case.
I would actually see it a little bit different. I think you never gave up on helping people. It's just that you just uncover a different way of doing it and one that actually fits you well.
That's
So
true.
that's
That's
awesome.
Thank you.
And what about you, Kara?
So I will guess, it's not necessarily just helping people, but helping leadership. So that's, my big jam is leadership, because I have seen amazing leadership in my life and I've seen terrible leadership in my life. And after my brother's suicide, the reality of how impactful business is, because we talk about that work-life balance, and I'll just tiny soapbox, it's just your life.
Yeah.
You can't balance your work. Work is part of your life, and we have not really embraced that as a global culture, and that impacts so many people's mental health. And so I like doubled down. I mean, it was always a drive to make sure that leadership could be its best. But after my brother's suicide, I like doubled down and was like, but what if? What if there had been people who actually cared about him as a human being at the place he spent 40 hours of his life? What if?
Mm-hmm.
And that got me to where I am today.
Well, so one life situation took you to take the role of leadership and help people connect. That's
Yeah.
awesome, and I'm sorry to hear about your brother. It, it's when you say that is one of the things that really bring me into the mindset that this kind of situations, what you're mentioning, um, only happens here in the U.S. Only happens in the U.S.
What
And
about
I
Japan?
can go ahead. I'm sorry.
What about in Japan? Like, there's a certain term for people who work themselves to death, basically.
Yes, that is true. But that is like culture based, like in their heads. If you don't perform at a certain level, you're not even part of the family, of your own blood. They're like the extreme. But I'm talking about this whole mentality of the work life balance that Kara's mentioning. It's it's part of your life. You cannot have a work life balance because it's a whole. It's a deal package. Uh, so for example, my father, he lives in the US whenever his political party, my dad and family are into politics in Ecuador. When his political party is not on top, he's here, he's working, he does his thing, whatever. But the second that his political party is up, he's back there and he's a minister, he's this, he's that, he is at a comfortable position. And I've always spoken to my dad because I don't like politics. I don't. It's not that I don't think that they're important. They're very important. It's just that to me is nasty business. Not, only a few people get to win from it, not everyone. And I tell my dad, so why do you do this? And he's like, well, because I was raised here in the US. So I cannot have anything to compare. I never worked in Ecuador. I was a child. And he tells me, well, number one, you clock in, you clock out. The people that you work with, you actually go out with them. You meet their families. You do things like organically. It's not like the company, like here, the company has to do something in order for the people from work get to see people outside of work. And he would explain to me, and that really, really made sense. Then at one point, I had a girlfriend from Ukraine, and then a girlfriend from Spain, and then a girlfriend from Norway, and they were explaining how it worked. You get to know other countries, but it's the mentality on how their work systems they actually implement it into their lives, and that's how people can get their lifestyle, the lifestyle that they get. A lot of people don't like those countries because they said, well, they tax us so much. But yes, you have paternity leave for a whole year.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about maternity. I'm talking paternity leave, because that's another thing. I'm a single dad. Okay. And this brings me to the power of never giving up. My daughter is my most prized possession in my life. She's my everything. She's the love of my life. And I remember at one point I couldn't see her. And I kept texting her and seeing the blue check marks. She was not replying. So one day she finally, after almost a year, she finally replied. So that was one of my biggest never given up moments. But back to this, I see how important it is, work, family, to get you to the next level. Because once you have a stable situation in your household, work is not as hard. Life is not as hard. That is one of the biggest things to me. Uh, Another thing on the leadership level, I remember I was working with a company. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Organo Gold. No, it's a multi-level marketing company, and I grew. I ended up having over 800 people working in my network, people that I didn't know from different parts of the world, and it was fun. And one day, just because I thought 800 people is enough, I should lay low for a bit. I put my guard down as leader. The entire thing went down. And it's not that I was giving up. It's just that my lack of knowledge of being so young at that point just led me to that. And then I learned that it's not about giving up in those situations. What I'm trying to explain on this one is that different paths of life are gonna get you to make different decisions. And sometimes having a coach like Kara or Adrian will get you to the next level. That is the biggest thing. So there's a few books that I have read. I'm trying to remember. It was this Marine that wrote the book. I'm trying to remember. Do you know which book I'm talking about? I'm trying to remember
Is it the one who said make your bed every day or something?
No, that one that one I have something with that one, because I don't do my bed every single day. Don't tell that everyone.
You just announced that to the internet at large. Everybody now knows.
Not every day. And my life is still good. But the one thing that cannot miss is my minute that I take to thank God for everything. That one is it's my must. I do take 1 minute every day as soon as I open my eyes to thank God for everything I got. So that one is my must. How about you, ladies? What are your first thing in the morning kind of things that you have not given up?
I have to make my bed. it drives my husband nuts. He's like, we're just gonna get back in it. But spatial reasoning wise, like your personal bedroom is sort of like your brain. And the more messy your personal space is, the harder it is for your brain to do all of its things. It's like there's too many. I already have enough distractions. I don't need extras. So making my bed makes that there's one spot that, I bought a comforter just so that making the bed is like this and then it's done. I'm pretty sure that's why comforters exist, right?
Yeah.
But it creates this big, beautiful open space of potential and possibility that you then get to crawl into every night.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like ceremonial every morning and every evening.
That's awesome because there's nothing like a freshly made bed. That I have to agree with you.
And I haven't taken it up permanently yet, but one of the things that I have discovered I am absolutely thinking is now has to be a part of my world is before bed, a must be is doing a shower. The act of having water run over your body has so many both woo-woo and science things that it just ticks off on your brain and your body that it literally helps you reset before you go to sleep. And I've been doing it a week, and y'all, it's good.
I like that. It's a literal washing off of the day, basically.
Yeah. And then you're always going to bed clean, so you don't have to do your sheets nearly as often, which is nice too.
There we go. There's a plus to everything. I have the opposite of you. I like to wake up, take a shower, go out, come back home, take another shower. So sometimes I may take 4 to 5 showers in a day. And I remember I used to live with somebody at that point, and they're like, what is wrong with you? Most people just wash their hands. You take a full shower. And it's one of the things that, I cannot, I do it just because I like the feeling of it. I like to jump into fresh clothes. And they're like, but we just went out for 20 minutes. I don't care. I want fresh clothes. So usually my laundry is like that high. But yeah, the book that I was mentioning is Can't Hurt Me. That one is by David Goggins. Really, really, really good book about not giving up and really pushing forward no matter what. And then the other one that I will also recommend is the subtle art of not giving up.
Oh, that one is so good though.
That one is amazing. Yeah. Why? Because we tend to give up just because of what people think.
Somebody else's opinion in your brain saying you can't do that. So and so said so. Well, shut up, so and so. I do what I want.
And not only that, the funniest thing is that when you're trying to do something, some well-intentioned person that has zero knowledge and zero expertise will come up to you and tell you, you cannot do that because I say so. I think it's not possible. I remember people when I arrived to the U.S., I arrived with a tourist visa and we overstayed, so we became at one point legal in the United States. Thank God that the situation now has changed, but I remember a lot of people telling me, number one, from cutting lawns and doing construction, you're not going to be able to do anything. And on top of that, you don't even have your legal situation together. So that really gave me a push to say, you know what, let me show you. And that is when I started working for radio, for TV, with no papers, with nothing, working as a salesperson. That is what got me started. And then little by little, I worked with a lady that then she became my business partner on the first marketing agency that I would launch. Still, no papers. Then we formed a union with some of the local doctors, and we launched that into something else. So that is why I always say to everybody, no matter what your dream is, just like Adrian did, she had a dream of helping people. She never gave up on it. She just redirected the route. She just put her GPS on a different street and still made it there. My dad has a thing that he used to tell me a lot when I was younger, mainly because my first big depression here in the US was when I won a full scholarship for West Point. But because I was not a US citizen, I couldn't use it. And I remember myself like I worked so hard to make it there. I worked so hard to be in the top 5% of the entire state of Florida. Getting the award and not being able to take it crushed me. I was like almost 9 months in bed, not wanting to talk to anybody, not wanting to eat anything, no one to. My dad held me to the side and it's like, John, life's like that. I know you're very stubborn, and I know I am super stubborn. And he said the alphabet has many more letters. And then once you finish the alphabet, there's numbers and they're infinite. So if you cannot reach one goal one way, try another way. Try another way. And then if you try several ways and still you cannot get to that goal, maybe it's time to redirect that goal or readjust it so you can launch. He explained to me as a kid, you can use that as a platform to jump from here to here, making it a smaller jump, and then from here to here, making it a smaller jump till you actually make it. And that as an adult has helped me so much. So much. In your case, do you remember any talk with your parents, friends, somebody that till this day you hold you'll sell yourself accountable for and has helped you to not give up?
I had
The
a
phrase,
different experience, actually. Oh, good. So in my case, I was starting my private practice right out of the dietetic internship because I knew that I didn't want to hand out pieces of paper from a certain cereal company that said, have 1 cup of blank cornflakes in the morning and stuff like that. And then, you see the little logo at the bottom. You're like, well, this is all just kind of messed up. So I wanted to teach people the truth about nutrition. And I felt like I could only really do that when I'm not underneath another corporation telling me what to do. Anyway, long story short, I started my business, but I had well-meaning people in my life who were like, here's a job link for a dietitian job over here. And I was like, thanks. And then they would ask me if I applied for it. I would kind of lie. I'd be like, yeah, I just haven't heard back from them yet. Meanwhile, I'm like really doing what I believe in, which is my business. And even though I think I made like $11,000 my first year, like it was like way less than most dietitians.
But you
But
did it.
that and like, a few years later, you can like make 6 figures, it's just, had I actually stuck with the initial path, I'd probably be making like 40,000 or 60,000 or whatever the average dietitian makes, and still not making a huge impact in the world like I feel like I am right now. So in this case, I had to like not listen to other people who were in my life.
yeah.
What about you, Kara?
So I come from you guys know I talk about Woo Woo Corp. I've done that many a time, probably on this podcast already, because that's the thing. But that's kind of where I came from. Is I came from farm folks who were also corporate people, like corporate gurus. My uncle who runs the farm helped develop the cloud software, but also runs the family farm. And yeah, right.
I didn't know that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
So we have some common statements that have been perpetuated in our family for many, 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 many years. One of which is anything created, once created, can be recreated. The idea that you can innovate. I mean, on a farm, like, cool, you build a farm. Okay. And now the fence is broken. And now the cow's doing this. And now this is happening. Oh, and the barn is. And by the way, so once you create it, that doesn't mean you're done. You're just going to keep recreating it over and over again. And before the term messy middle became a big thing with Brene Brown, thank you for making that normalized, we would talk about how it always works out in the end. It always does. To date, you have already survived 100% of your worst days and thrived 100% of your best days. That's a fact. So it always works out in the end. And if it is not working out right now, it's just not the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That is true. That is absolutely true. But Yeah, the analogy of the farm is true. You never stop. There's always something. Always something. Eh,
And most
I
entrepreneurs have this issue too, right? Like add in the
Yes.
comments if you have any, if
yes,
you're in the messy middle.
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. It's it's funny how you think before you have your own business that once you have your business it's gonna be easier.
Mhm.
And when you have your own business, like I keep thinking like that. Because like you said a minute ago, leadership is, I always say leadership is everything. And truly, the second that you start becoming a leader, you really understand that whatever you do is going to impact the people that work with you. And I never
Yeah.
said for you, with you.
Mhm.
People that work with you, people that are pushing for, of course, their own goals and dreams, but are pushing yours along the way. They're the win on your sale. And the second that you don't take care of them, you're putting families down. You're taking people's dreams down, and you don't want to do that. And it takes a level of understanding or maturity, because at the beginning I used to, when I was just getting started, I used to think, because I didn't have the blessing of having anybody in my family being business owners. My whole family, from my mom's side and my dad's side, both of them in politics, like really, really deep into politics. And I really wanted to do something not only to help people, but also to nurture them. Because here's the thing, highlight reviews being, yeah, a marketing uh, s- assistance for small business, it was meant to hold people by the hand, because all the tools and everything that is there is just to make the business grow, mainly for business that don't, like me when I start, that don't have a knowledge of what's one, two, three in the order that you have to do your businesses. And now when I see small business owners struggle, I ask them, the first thing that I ask them is like, what is your dream? And some of them, they know exactly what the dream is. And the next thing is like, what books have you read?
Yeah.
How many people do you have working with you? And then, do you take care of those people? And most of them, when I get to this question, they tell me, yes, I pay their salaries. They think that by paying their salaries, that's all you have to do.
Mm.
No. Do you know how their house situation is? Do you know if they're struggling because any family member is sick? Do you know if anything is wrong with them personally? Do you know if they have anything that is, like, for example, yesterday I was with a good friend of mine that I have not seen in at least 6 years.
Okay.
And he was telling me how happy he is now that he brought his mom to the US, because his mom has cancer. And all his siblings are everywhere else in the world. Some of his siblings are in Spain, some of his siblings are here in the US, but in different parts of the US. So her mom was in Ecuador by herself with cancer. And every time she went to get her visa, because we have to ask permission to get into the US, she got denied. Even all her sons are citizens and everything, with a letter and everything, she got denied. So finally, she got approved somehow, and she's here. And he was telling me how happy he was. And then he mentioned that his boss was one of the people that cheered him on the process. And then is when I see how those little things in life help nurture more than the paycheck that you put in their bank accounts. Because yes, while we do need that, we also do need people that care. And that is what helps people to don't give up. Why am I saying this? Because you have a dream. And the power of not giving up is, of course, as long as everything's working fine, as long as everything's working good, you're gonna get to your goal.
Yeah.
But if you don't take care of your people, no matter how big of a dream and how much you want to help people, it's not going to happen because the people inside your organization are not being fed. And by mean fed is love, care, and attention.
Mhm.
We're just like plants. The only
Yeah.
things that we can move.
I
Just
am
like,
Groot.
come again?
I am Groot.
I'm good.
We are Groot.
Yes, we're all Groot. So that is
Most of
the
our
biggest thing.
entrepreneurs, right?
Come again?
Most of us here are entrepreneurs, right? And so ideally, we've had to learn the power of not giving up. I mean, even everybody who's coming on this call today, it's like there have been moments in our lives where we were like, I should just get a job, probably. And yet, hopefully, the bigger why of what we're doing has helped us to stay the path.
And there's nothing wrong with what you're saying with getting a job. Like, for example, right now, my last month, I made a couple. I did a couple attempts on something new, and it didn't work out as I intended it. So now, in order to make up the financial losses, I had to take a part-time job.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm doing a part-time job while I'm still running my 3 businesses.
Yeah.
But why? Because I'm not giving up on my dream.
Mm-hmm.
The second that I have my finances back in order, part-time says bye 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 bye, and I'm back full-time on this. So that is a good point that you bring, because a lot of people, when they're in business, they feel ashamed to take a part-time job or a full-time job because they have their business and they don't want people to know that they're not doing the way that they want people to see them.
No, do it. Go bartend on Friday or Saturday night. Just do it. Pick up that midnight shift. Go for it. I mean, it's not going to be forever.
Yeah.
That's
It'll
the
fuel
key.
you.
Come again, Adrian?
It'll fuel you too. You're like, I don't want to do this Uber thing for whatever. I want to get out of this. So let me really put some extra attention and effort into what I'm, attempting to do over here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That is true. That is absolutely true. It gets to a point there that you're doing that part-time job or full-time job, whatever you're doing, there's like, I could be doing something that I love. And it's like, I really need to get out of here. And it's really going to push you.
Fire.
So that is the end of the topic today, because I really, really want to make sure that people know just a couple of things. One, you have to have a dream in order to keep having hope and happiness in your life. The second that your dreams die, believe me, that's the second that you start not feeling so good. Next one, that if you're a leader, if you're a business owner, and you have people working with you, not for you, with you. As long as you have people working with
people
you,
in the back.
yeah, as long as you have people working with you, you're just as responsible about their emotional health as much as you are responsible for their paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
And last, your family. We started with that topic. Your family is important. The only reason why we do what we do, because entrepreneurs, we are the only crazy people enough to say, I'm gonna give up my 40-hour work week so I can put 192 hours a week. So
I'm gonna choose instability. Yay!
Yes. It's like that meme. Are you lost? Well, 95% of it makes me feel that I'm lost. And what about that other 5%? I am gonna seek adventure and new things. And I'm like, okay, that sounds like me.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. The 5% of Kara, adventure. So that is the truth. I mean, those are the 3 things. When I was mentioning family, it is important. If you're married, one of the things that did not go so well in my marriage was that I became so passionate for my work that I forgot that I had a wife at home.
Mhm.
So while your passion might be good, you still have to juggle all the other things, your kids, your wife, your boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you have at that time. It's really, really, really important. And after that, like Kara said earlier, everything will take care of its own.
Mhm.
So anything else that you would like to add? Any wisdom that you would like to share, Kara?
No, I loved every minute of that. I'm just hoping that the entrepreneurs out there are like, oh my God, I feel so seen because, yeah, we see you. Keep going.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Adrian? Any words of wisdom?
And I would just to piggyback off of what Kara said, it's hopefully providing a little bit of inspiration and motivation to keep going and be consistent in all the daily efforts that you probably feel aren't working, but over time will add up.
Mm-hmm. That is true. Well, everyone, I hope you have a fantastic Monday, beginning of the week.
Thank
Love
you.
you all.